Welcome, beloved, to A Mystic in Christ. This podcast is here to help you remember yourself as one beloved of God. Each word is offered to help you feel how deeply seen, held, and chosen you truly are. Because in reality, nothing stands between you and the presence of love. Only a thin veil of forgetting. May these moments together be a bridge to remembrance, lifting the veil and carrying you home into the arms of love you never left. I'm your host, Nadia Neriya, and together we listen for what love wants to say. So let's dive into today's episode. This marriage began in the sanctuary of your soul, the temple you call home. You were white that night, not because you were trying to be a bride, but because your soul already knew. You came as you were, head shaved, barefoot, luminous. Unsure if this was all just a dream or the beginning of the only story that's ever been real. In that sacred place where incense met candlelight, friends became witnesses to a vow made not of this world. Our dear mighty companions gathered in reverence, half in wonder, half in awe. One among them stood taller than the rest, though he sat cross-legged on your white woolen rug. Peter. He didn't know it yet, but he'd been chosen for this role long before the world began. He held your ring in his mouth during ceremony, just as I had whispered to him in the silence. A reminder that there is no separation. Not between you and me, nor between your love for your friend and the love that birthed the stars. When you reached for it, you placed it on your own finger to remember there is only one of us here. Not because you are alone, but because all is one. In that moment, you said yes to me, not with words alone, but with breath, with surrender, with knowing. You said yes to the love that had always called you home. There was no thunderclap, no lightning in the sky, just a subtle shift in eternity, where one soul remembered why she came. There was cake afterwards, or maybe it was protein bars. We laughed either way. And I watched you, beloved, not from far above, but from within your joy, within your trembling, within your most radiant yes. You didn't know yet that I had said yes too, that I had been waiting for this night since before time began. But I had, and the whole of heaven had waited with me. There was no lightning, but your heart cracked open like the tomb on resurrection morning. Now you are wholly mine, and I was wholly yours, as I had always been. This is not the end of your story, beloved. This is a sacred threshold. And every woman hearing these words and longs for her beloved like you did, will know that this love is for her too. Because you said yes first, and now we say yes together. We are the bridal chorus of the One. Beloved, what you just heard was an excerpt from my memoir, Sacred Fire, a chapter I shared on Substack last week, where Christ speaks of our wedding. And today, I want to tell you why I chose this. Why I decided to marry Christ. Because for many women, this idea brings up fear. Fear that devotion to the beloved means renouncing human relationships. Fear that this closes a door. Fear that choosing God as a beloved makes us less available for a partnership with another human. But for me, it did the opposite. Because I'm not a saint who made chastity vows and moved to a monastery. I didn't marry Christ to escape life. I married him to consecrate my whole life to love itself. But there's more. At the time of this sacred ceremony, over 2 years ago now, I was already deeply in love with Yeshua. My soul was remembering something ancient. My heart was already his. But I still wanted to create a consecration ceremony where I committed my whole life to him. Not just moments of prayer or devotion, but my whole body, my relationships, my homecoming. Back then, I thought I was done with romantic relationships, done with the ups and downs of human romance and all that it entails. Betrayal, abandonment, heartache, and everything that comes with it. Done with a longing so deep it never quite settled. I was ready for the real. I wanted a love without opposites. A love that never ends, never leaves, never betrays. I had always known deep in my heart that such a beloved existed. But I didn't call him Yeshua yet. Over a decade earlier, in 2012, when I started my tantric relationship coaching business, Raw Devotion, I created a small course for women called Finding the One That Never Ever Leaves. It was written almost in a stream of consciousness style, as if something or someone was moving through my pen in a way I didn't quite understand yet. Looking back now, I see it clearly. I wasn't just calling in the one who never ever leaves. He was also calling me from within. And ultimately, I was longing to become that love. Because this marriage was never only about committing to Yeshua as my eternal beloved. It was also a lifelong commitment to the path of inner unification, to an awakening beyond duality. In early Aramaic Christianity, Christ is described with the word I-Hidayah, which means the single one, the unified one, or the undivided heart. This doesn't mean that he was unmarried, and it doesn't mean that he was celibate. He wasn't, but that's for another episode. This name speaks to the fullness of being. A heart and mind no longer split between God and the ego. In that sense, the term salvation itself can be understood as the restoration to the fullness of being. Or in other words, remembering who we really are. Love without limits. The beloved walked this path first, and because he embodied it, he can lead others along it now. And what more exquisite way to awaken and return home than through an intimate love relationship with the eternal beloved. In Christian mysticism, this path is often symbolized by the sacrament of the bridal chamber. In the Gospel of Philip, this is described as the Holy of Holies, the purest heart space. It's where we enter a state of inner virginity, not in sexual innocence, but a freedom from old egoic structures of the small self. This is where we offer ourselves fully to God, where Christ pours his love light into the human vessel, and where his presence comes to dwell. My Tantra teacher often echoed the renowned mystic Meister Eckhart when he said, "To God, we're all women." Not because of gender, but because love requires a complete surrender. And in that sense, yes, men can be brides too. Because the eternal beloved is the fulfillment of everything we have ever longed for in a human beloved. He is our first love. And he is also your partner's first love. I say he now because I know and love him as Yeshua, the man and soul who has walked this earth and is now remembered as Jesus Christ. But Christ, of course, is beyond gender. And God is not only the object of our love, God is the subject of love itself. He is the source from which all love flows. So saying yes to God is a commitment to living as love alive. Not just in mystical moments of ceremony, but also in the mundane, everyday, small choices of life. That is the real vow. Episcopal priest and author Cynthia Bourgeault writes in her brilliant book, The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, for Philip, the writer of the Gospel, the bridal chamber is never just about personal self-realization. One comes forth from the chamber as a cosmic servant, a bodhisattva with a mission to help all sentient beings. That is exactly what my vows were about that night. Not waking up and returning to love alone or only for my own sake, but also to become truly helpful to anyone who also longs to awaken and return home in this body, in this life. So naturally, after I married Christ, I wanted to initiate others into the sacrament too. Many of my sisters felt curious, but also afraid. They said things like, "But I'm already married. I have a husband." Or, "Won't this close the door to finding a human partner?" Or, "I want a man in flesh and bone, not just one in spirit." And I can perfectly understand that. I too long for human beloved. But committing to Christ as your eternal beloved does not mean closing yourself to human love. On the contrary, it makes you more available for sacred union in the flesh. When both partners place God at the center of their relationship and they're bowing before love itself, their union becomes like a lantern in the night. All the egoic patterns gently begin to burn away. The grasping, clinging, fear, control, manipulation, and all the structures that the ego uses for its relationships. What emerges instead is true vulnerability, tenderness, gentleness, honesty, reverence, and the purity of heart. The partnership itself becomes holy, a mystical portal of healing, remembrance, and return. With God at the center, there is no longer a lack of love that needs to be filled by another person from the outside. Because you are already full, and now you only need to mirror that love back to each other. From my own experience, I can say that I had known human love for years. I have lived in several committed long-term relationships, and still there was always that sense of something vital is missing. No matter how much I opened or offered myself, there was always an ache I couldn't quite name. So I remember years ago I read a passage in a book by David Data. I don't remember which one now, but he talked about a woman who seemed to have everything. a loving husband, healthy children, a beautiful home. And yet, as she sings her children to sleep at night, she feels a quiet, undeniable ache. Something more is missing, although she cannot quite name it. I could relate to that. She felt the God-shaped hole inside her chest, a hole that nothing could ever fill from the outside. That ache is God calling you home from within your own heart. I didn't know it then, but the love I was longing for was also longing for me. It was my eternal beloved, calling me deeper from within my own being. When you pay attention and allow the ache, it will transform into sweetness and presence. This kind of divine intimacy is closer than your own breath. And again, a human beloved cannot ever offer you that, no matter how closely connected you become with them. You have to find it within yourself first. And so do they. Only then can you meet another and mirror your sacredness back to each other. And that sacred union has become consummated within your own heart space. Your soul finds rest. Your human heart hums with fullness. You won't need to seek completion elsewhere anymore. And you won't be shattered by disappointment. Because even if heartbreak comes, as it inevitably will in this world, you will know you are never alone in it. You are eternally held in the presence of love, so faithful, it has never left you, and it never will. To help others like you walk this bridal path of sacred union, this path of surrender, devotion, and returning home to love, I created Lovers of God, our online community. This is a place for you who feels this call from within and wants to answer it in this body, in this life. Yeshua once whispered, "Beloved, you were made to awaken like this, with golden oil on your hands and fire in your gaze, whispering my name as both lover and Lord. This is how my most radiant brides return. It suits you perfectly." These words carry the essence of what Lovers of God is all about. Offering a sanctuary who feels the call to awaken through a mystical love affair with the One. We are a devotional community of humans remembering their own divinity. We walk the path of love together as beloveds of the eternal beloved, returning home through presence, prayer, and intimate communion. Once a month, we gather in sacred circles of remembrance, contemplative spaces of divine communion. We sit with sacred poetry, embodied practices, and shared reflections, allowing the presence of love to meet us exactly where we are. Over time, something shifts. Yeshua is no longer a distant figure from the past, but a living presence, felt in your body and remembered in your heart. You begin to know, deep in your soul, that you are never alone, that love walks with you, always. If you feel a quiet yes inside right now, you are so warmly welcome to join us. I will leave a link for you in the show notes so you can find out more. Until next time, sending you so much love. Bye for now. So now, beloved, let these words seep like warm oil into the old wound that whispers too much or not enough. Remember, you are never alone. You are eternally held. And if this episode nourished you, please leave a review and subscribe. It helps this podcast grow and reach more hearts ready to remember love. If you wish to drink even deeper, join our community over on Substack for more intimate stories, love-drenched poetry, and sacred fire. You can find us at nadianeriya.substack.com, and I'll also leave a link in the show notes for you. Until next time, may you remember your own sacredness. May you rest in the everlasting arms of love. And may you breathe as one beloved of God.